What is going on, everybody? How are we doing today? Welcome to the show. Another episode of Ask StreamYard. Gosh, I'm like trying to make sure all my stuff is okay. I am your host, Melanie Dyann Howe. Super excited to have you here with me today to another episode of Ask StreamYard, where we feature your questions, we get them answered, and we help you up-level your live streams. So, gotta say hello to all my friends in the comments. We got Robin and Vanada is here. Hello, it's good to see you again. Kansas, it was 90 yesterday and 30 today. Well, you know, I'm in Indiana, so I feel your pain. I get it. I understand. We got Texas in the house. What's up? Jim Lawyer's here. Hello. Jim Lawyer, the non-lawyer, right? He's not a lawyer. He's a cyclist. We got all kinds. We got Portugal in the house. We got the UK in the house. We got Baton Rouge in the house. Niagara Falls. Oh, it's so great to see everybody here. Oh, I love seeing the familiar faces week after week after week here on the show. So we've got a good one for you today. So today I'm actually going to be featuring a question that actually is all about how to use the different layouts when you have guests on screen with you today. So I have a special guest that we're going to feature today to help me do this show for everybody. But, you know, I got to say before we get started, though, I want to make sure if you're new here, this is a show, as I said, where we take a question and we take a deep dive on that question. And so today's topic, as I said, is all about using the different layouts. You might have other questions, or you might even have some really great ideas for some features. I want you to hang on to those, and I want you to actually go over to StreamYard.com/contact if you have those great suggestions. And if you ever need support, I want to make sure everybody knows, did you know that there is actually a live chat? So if you're in your StreamYard studio, way down at the bottom, next to the settings, you actually will see a little hyperlink that says, having issues? You can actually click that link and it will take you right to a live chat. So you can actually get support. So if you're having any kind of weird issues with your mic, or just you have some general questions about how to utilize the studio, our support team's absolutely awesome and there to help you. So we won't be doing support questions here today, but we are definitely going to be talking about today's topic, which is a good one. So we're going to have some fun. New to the channel, what's up? Bare Truth. I love it. North Carolina. Nice. Fantastic. I lived in Charlotte. I see a Charlotte one here. I actually lived in Charlotte for a couple of years. My daughter was born in Charlotte, actually. So super cool. It's really great to see everybody here today. Annie says that she's new as well. Anna wants to know how my finger is. Well, I had surgery a couple weeks ago. So those of you that are not new to the show, this has been going on for 4 months. I broke it in December, and finally we did some surgery a little over 2 weeks ago, and it's healing. Got to wear this thing for a few more weeks. Hopefully it gets finished after that and I can get on the golf course and get out there and having some fun using my hand. It's definitely a hassle. That's what I'll say. It is a hassle. So, okay. So today we are going to be talking about, as I mentioned, using the different layouts because we had a great question posted in our Facebook group, which, by the way, if you are not already part of that Facebook group, make sure that you actually go join that group. It's a great community. You can get all kinds of answers to any of your questions. The community is always there to help. I mean, we can't even get to the question and answer the question before other users and other community members have stepped in to help. So just search StreamYard community in your Facebook app and you will find it. Just join it, answer the questions, and they will let you into that great community. It's super awesome. So okay, so today we're actually going to be answering Renee Lee's question. She wanted to know, when you're live streaming and you have 4 co-hosts, like the view, which is cool, I've tried to show the speaker only. I know Zoom has the speaker view capability. Does StreamYard have that feature? When I click the single layout, it always shows me even if I'm not speaking. Thanks in advance for your help. Yeah, so Renee, we are definitely going to answer this question today. The short answer is that StreamYard does not automatically feature whoever is speaking. So some of the virtual meeting applications, such as Zoom, they do have a setting where whoever's talking, that actually will change and it will automatically put that person full screen. And then if somebody else starts talking, it will automatically shift to the other person who's now speaking. So StreamYard does not have that setting. Okay, so it doesn't have an automatic speaker feature setting. However, you can absolutely feature the speaker or any of the guests, have them be full screen and have everybody else not necessarily viewable. So we're going to be talking about a few of those layouts today. I'm going to give you a few best practices when it comes to that. So that is what we're going to be talking about. I'll give a quick check-in on the comments really fast. Want to make sure. So Joanne Banco says she has definitely used our live chat, support chat. So that's awesome. I definitely want to make sure y'all know about that. It's really, really great. So, perfect. Aussie K-Pup Mum TV says, I just programmed all the hotkeys into my Stream Deck, so I want to use all these scenes more. Yeah. So in fact, these layouts that I'm going to talk about today and show you, you absolutely can program them into your Stream Deck if you have a Stream Deck. A Stream Deck is a piece of hardware that actually allows you to program buttons to do shortcuts. You can also just use your keyboard. So there's actually some keyboard shortcuts that you could totally use as well so that you can do that. So definitely looks like we got, actually, Allberry says, yes, that's my question too. Well, good. I'm glad that we will be able to help you out here today. So if you have a question unrelated to this topic, as I mentioned, please hang on to it, post it in our Facebook community, or you can always reach out to our support team and get some help there today. But we're going to stay on topic today. And we're going to be talking about using these guest layouts, these different layouts, and how to organize them. So here's the deal. It's going to be very difficult for me to show you how, it's going to be difficult for me to show a live demo. So I pre-recorded a couple of explanations about how to use these layouts, but let's just get started. Let's level set ourselves here. So when you have StreamYard, you can invite guests to your streams. You can actually invite multiple guests to your streams depending on which plan you are on. The free plan and the first basic plan, that I always get this wrong. Let me look this up. I thought I always get it wrong. I'm going to double check myself here because I think it's 6 guests up to 6 on the free plan. Yes. The free plan will allow you to have up to 6 on-screen participants. So that means you could literally have 6 people in your stream. And that's on the free plan. If you're on one of our paid plans, you can have up to 8 guests on screen. So you can actually have 10 in the studio, but you can have 8 guests in the actual stream, which is a lot of people on screen with you. So all you would do is invite them, use the invitation link to send them so they join the studio. Your guests can actually see comments. They can also see what's the viewers see. They cannot control anything though. They cannot do any controls. If you want to have a co-host also be on screen with you and be able to manage the controls like display comments and even change some of the layouts as I'm getting ready to show you, you would want to use the StreamYard Teams feature and make them part of your team and allow them to actually have those capabilities to help you control your show. So I wanted to clarify that because some of you are really interested in this and you're going to find this useful because you have co-hosts, right? Others, you're going to find this useful because you have guests. So I wanted to make sure that you know that there is a difference between having a guest and having co-hosts who are utilizing that feature of being able to control the stream with you and help you actually produce the show. So it's one of those things that you definitely want to check out. Okay, so here's the deal. You can have 10 on screen for paid. Oh, okay. I was thinking we changed it. I think the professional plan lets you have 10. You are probably correct. Definitely for sure. So thank you for clarifying that. I can never keep up with everything. I try, but I can't keep up with everything. Okay. So here's the deal. I want to show you what it looks like when you have a guest on screen. We're just going to start there. So we're going to bring up my special guest, Teddy Bear, the StreamYard Teddy, right? So this is our guest. Now, my guest doesn't talk. My guest doesn't even move around, but my guest is hanging out with their blue blockers and they've got their fancy StreamYard water bottle, right? So this is my special guest hanging out with us today. And so this is the wide layout. This lets you have your entire view. And of course, you have different views. I'll show you what those views look like. Then I will show you how to toggle those views. So you've got the close-up view, right? So this is where it crops you in, puts you right in there, and you get up close and personal with your guests, and your audience can see you guys up close. If you want to go with this layout, it is going to show your background. If you are on the free plan, you will see this as your background or a black background. But if you're on any of our paid plans, you can actually upload your own custom background, including animated GIFs and whatever you want to do there. So super fun, super cool. Definitely one of those things you want to check out. So if you want to, you can also go to a couple of different layouts as well. You can have a spotlight layout, which is actually going to put one of whoever's in position number 1 in the big screen. And you can change that and put them in the spotlight layout as well. I'll be showing you how to do this in just a moment. And then if you are sharing your screen, you will also have other views to look at too. So now if you wanted to just feature your guest, yes, you absolutely can feature just your special guest. You can also go right back to yourself. You can go right back to having you both on screen. So this is actually something I suggest everyone get good at if you are going to have guests on screen with you. There's a couple of reasons for that. When you're talking and you have your guest on screen with you and you want to give, let's say your guest is talking and you want to give yourself a break, then you can actually go to your guest, let them be featured full screen. If you need to mute your mic, take a sip of water, or do anything, look at something, check out the comments, and you don't want to feel like you have to be focused on screen, then it's a good point to feature your guest full screen. Let them have a bit of the stage as they're talking and making a point. But when their point is getting finished and it's time to go back to you to ask the next question or to bring up comments, you're going to want to go back to this view or one of the views where you can bring yourself back on screen and address comments in the, address your comments like this one from Doug at Smackdown Outdoors. Can you use an animated GIF for a background? Yes, you absolutely can. So it has to be less than 3 megabytes, and that's what you do. So if you were doing that, if you're addressing comments, you'd want to be back up on screen to do your Q&A with, you might say, hey, special guest, what do you think about using animated GIFs for their background? And then you let your guests go to answer, and then you might put them full screen again, let them answer the question, and then remove the comment, and then come back to you again. You can also use, as I mentioned, the spotlight view, especially if you're kind of moderating the discussion and your guest is really truly answering all the questions. So you might say, bring up Denise's comment. Is this available for the free plan as well? Special guest says, well, yeah, heck yes, it's available for the free plan. Absolutely. Everybody gets all of these layouts. Everybody can add guests to their stream. So free plan and paid plans absolutely use all these layouts as well. So super cool. You should definitely use it. And then I will bring myself back on screen. I'll be like, great. Okay. Joanne Benko says, it's nice to meet you, Teddy. She's very excited to have you here. So super cool. And then, hey, Teddy, we have another question. Can we use video for the background too? Teddy goes to answer. Ooh, that's a great idea. Right now, we don't have that feature set for StreamYard. We only have the animated GIF. That is actually really what you would want anyway, because your background needs to loop. And, videos take up higher storage. So, we just don't have that available right now. But an animated GIF, as long as it's less than 3 megabytes, is absolutely going to be able to be used. But that's a great question, Annie. If you want to submit that as a feature request, just go to our website at StreamYard.com/. contact, and you can fill out the form right there. And then I might say, Teddy, thank you so much for being here today. This was super helpful. I really appreciate you. Now, before I let you go, let our audience know where they can find you and where they can learn more about you. Then you might go back to feature your guest again, right? So anyways, you get the point. I hope you like my friend here that I have. Actually, Albury says, how do we do all this? About to show you. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you have, I've only have one guest with me, right? But this also applies when you have multiple guests, right? When you have multiple guests up there with you, it absolutely applies as well. So, you have all the different layouts, and I kind of think might try to show you what that looks like to have 3 people on screen so you can actually see a little bit more about it. So, I think you guys are enjoying Teddy, my special guest, right? So my special guest. The form, if you put comments about feature requests in this, they won't go anywhere. But if you fill out the form, it goes straight to our development team and our strategy team. So there's the benefit of filling out the form for your feature request. Okay, so let me, I want to show you guys how to actually do this. So let me go ahead and queue up. I have a couple of tutorial videos so that you can actually see. I did a little pre-recorded screen share tutorial so you can actually see inside the studio how to do it. So I'm going to show you what those different layouts look like inside the studio. So I just showed you so that you can see what it looks like from the viewer side. Now you're going to see what it looks like from the studio side so that you know how to do this as a show host as well. Okay, let me show you the different guest layouts and how you want to toggle between them. So your guest is backstage, you add them to the stream. You have this particular layout, which you can see in this box right here. If you want to have your full webcam visible, then you want to select this particular layout. But what if you want to have your guest on screen without you showing? You just want them to be able to talk, but you want your audience to be able to hear you. All you need to do is go right here to this little box right here where it says solo layout. And if you select that, it's actually going to feature your guest full screen. And then if you want to go back to you, solo layout, you can go straight to yourself. Or if you want to bring both of you back up on screen, all you have to do is select one of these 2 layouts here. Now you also have a featured layout as well, where you're actually going to be able to spotlight key speaker number 1. So that first box on the left here, right here, this is box number 1. So whoever's in this box is going to go into that spotlight. If you want the other guest or somebody else in your panel to be featured, then all you need to do is drag and drop them over and it will switch you. At that point, if you go back to that layout, it's actually going to feature that guest in the main box. Now, if you're sharing a screen or if your guest wants to share slides or something, you also have this layout as well that you can feature. Now, again, same thing. The only person featured in that particular layout is going to be who's ever in box number 1. You can simply drag and drop and switch in any of the layouts you're in. So if you want to toggle back and forth again to solo, all you have to do is select the box at the bottom and go to the solo layout. Regardless of what layout you're in, you will actually only see the person who is featured in the solo layout. So that is how you use the different layouts for the guests. And there you have it. So that is a quick tutorial, right? So that was a bit of a speed tutorial on how you actually do what I just showed you, using the different layouts, dragging and dropping your speakers around so that you can actually control the view and the layout. So definitely one of those things. So let me grab a couple questions. I see a couple questions here. Morjana says, you gotta love StreamYard. Yes, and a couple of you are actually really happy that we are talking about this. I'm super glad that it's definitely helping everybody for sure. So this was a question that was submitted in our Facebook group. So if you're just not joining us, we're actually talking about using StreamYard's layout options when you have guests in your stream. And so I just did a tutorial, I just showed what it looks like. So if you're just not joining us and you want to see that, definitely make sure you go back and watch the replay when we are done with this today. So let me grab a few questions from the audience. I have a couple more things to show you as well, so that we can get that done. So Crystal Veals says, is there a time limit for the screen layouts? I did a stream and it automatically clicked off the layout that I selected after a while. Caught me in a couple of nose blows and water breaks. So Crystal, the answer to that question is no, there is no time limit. The only thing I can think that could have happened potentially is that you may have accidentally hit a shortcut key on your keyboard, or potentially sometimes, I don't know that this is the case, but I have had this type of thing happen to me in the past. If you're using a laptop that has a touch screen monitor, or an iPad even, or anything like that that has a touch screen monitor, so all-in-one computers that sometimes have the touch screens, sometimes those touch screens can be very sensitive and they can be a little bit weird, and they will sometimes get a mind of their own. I mean, for real, it happens. But no, there is not a time limit for the screen layout. So when it comes to the actual screen layout, no. Now, if you were playing a video or something, obviously when the video is done playing, it's going to go away from the screen, which there now is the progress bar that shows up at the bottom very, very, very finely at the bottom of that video. It shows you, the producer. Your audience doesn't see it, but you actually see the progress bar of your video so that you know when it's about to end and you know you're about to be back on screen. So no, there is no time limit for those layouts. Let's see. Bjor Kongto Press Club. I probably butchered that. I apologize. If we have more than 2 guests full view, do not show the background. It will show the background. So, well, okay. Let me just go ahead and show you right here. So we now have 3 guests, 3 people on screen, right? So there's 3, me twice, obviously, and of course we still have Teddy hanging out up there, the StreamYard expert. So we are in this layout where you have the full webcam, and then there is, of course, the close-up layout. If you look between the images, meaning like right here, okay, these little, whoops, right there, that purple line, that is actually the background. So if I change it to a different background, you'll notice now it's black. Now it's the other color. Like that background does come through very finely, but it is 100% going to come through when you go to the whiteout layout like this. So you will actually see the whole background. And then the same thing applies here about dragging people around and switching things up so that things look different. This is with 3 people on screen. We can go with the spotlight layout again, and you'll notice that everybody else is on screen with you. So my guests over here are hanging out as well because I did that. But I can also go back to solo layout for any of those different things. So all of those layouts apply no matter how many guests you have on screen. The layout might shift a little bit based on, if I had 4 guests on screen, this would be more balanced. You'd see 4 more equal, it balanced more of the whole screen versus next to, this particular layout here, you wouldn't see so much of the background there. So great question. You will still see the background depending on the layout you're in. Anna says, what about my guest has a photo he wants to share? What is the best way to do that? So your guest can absolutely share their screen. So if he has a photo he wants to share, he can share his screen. He cannot add that screen share to the stream. You have to add it to the stream. So it'll show up in your studio down backstage, and you would click on that and you would add it to the screen as stream so that everyone can see it as well. That would be the best way to do it. So if it's on his system and he wanted to share a photo, that would be what he would do. So yes, any of your guests can share their screen, but only the producer or the co-host, if you're using StreamYard Teams, can actually add that to the stream itself. So your viewers will not see their screen unless you add it, and you can add it and remove it when it comes to that. So good question, Anna. Glad you asked that one. Joanne says, where is there a layout/option to have your guest on screen along with their slides, with the guest having the ability to control their slides? So as long as they share their screen and you add it to the stream, they can control their slides. The next video, the next tutorial I have for you actually is going to show you exactly that. So if there are slides being shared, there are different layouts that you're going to want to look at. And of course, you're going to want to be able to control it. So with that being said, why don't we just queue up the next video? Okay, there's also the scenario of a screen is being shared, whether it be slides or anything, whether it be your screen or your guest screen. Now, when you go to this particular layout right here, you're going to notice that both of you are on screen. If you don't want to be on screen and you still want your guests to be on screen, you can either remove yourself from the stream, just like that, or you can actually turn off your camera as long as you have audio avatars on. But always keep in mind, if you use that version, you will actually still be able to be heard in the stream. So make sure you've got your mic muted, or you just know that your mic is hot at that point. So stop it. This would be what it looks like with the audio avatars on. You need to go to your settings, go right into here into general, turn off audio avatars. And as you notice, when you stop your cam, you will actually no longer be visible. Now, again, you are still able to be heard. So keep that in mind when it comes to this particular layout. And again, same thing applies here. If you want your guest to be featured with yourself as the screen is being shared, then you want to actually just go to rearrange the guest and let them be in that spotlight number 1 so that they can be featured in this particular layout here. And then of course, the same is going to apply when you're in picture. If you don't want to be seen, but you want to use this layout, you will need to remove yourself from the stream or simply turn off your camera. Okay, so that hopefully answers your question that you had, Joanne Benko, about, when it comes to actually having a screen share involved. So it is going to be a little different. Now, somebody made a comment earlier. First of all, gotta say, Daniel Batal's in the house. Daniel, my friend, what is up? We got Daniel Batal in the comments, everybody. The legend, the man himself. So it's good to see you, Daniel, in the comments with us hanging out live. But somebody did mention earlier that it's good to spend a few hours every once in a while to just kind of play around with StreamYard, because honestly, now hopefully you all see it really is very simple, and it's all of the, these layouts are very easy to do. You just have to click on the different ones. So get familiar with them, right? So now it is a little bit tricky to practice with guests. Like it's tricky to practice and mess around unless you have a few people who can kind of, be like, hey, I'll jump in the studio with you and let you play around with different views. I will tell you what I'm doing today. We have Teddy with us today. Teddy is literally sitting upstairs in my condo, and I'm using my iPad, and I just basically joined the stream as a guest on my iPad, and Teddy is up there as a guest at my dining room table with my iPad. And you want to hear something kind of funny? Right to Teddy's right is my patio door, where there is a robin that has been attacking the window for over a week now. I do not know what's going on. It's driving me crazy. I've tried everything, including closing curtains and doing other things, but it is nuts. So if you see any flickers or shadows, it's a robin that is literally pecking at the window. I thought about just making this really funny and changing the iPad and just having it be on the bird the whole time. But then I thought that might just be weird and gross people out, because it's pretty gross and pretty odd. But if anybody has any tips on that, send them my way. Send me a DM, because literally it's driving me crazy. So you could actually do that with your phone. You could be on your computer and then actually join your stream on any of your other devices. If you have another computer, if you have, your phone, if you have an iPad, you can actually join your stream and just have it be there. And then you can actually practice with the multiple layouts. So you can totally do that. That is definitely one of the tricks. But here's the deal. My point is that I want you to take time. I do want you to practice. I do want you to familiarize yourself with the StreamYard application. You do not have to go live to actually familiarize yourself with the features of the studio. You can actually just enter a stream and never click go live, and you can actually see all the stuff in the studio, including a demo comment that will be the first comment you will see up there at the top when you enter your studio. It will say this right here. And so you can actually even practice playing around with displaying a comment, taking a comment down, starring a comment, not starring a comment. So you can actually practice just about everything for your streams without even being live. And we actually did an entire Ask StreamYard episode about that. So we will definitely put that. We'll add it to the description of this particular video so you can check that out. But definitely familiarize yourself, because it's interesting sometimes. It's a good reminder for me, at least, especially, and the StreamYard team, that a lot of things that the studio can do for you, you may not even realize that those features are there because you haven't discovered them or haven't needed them yet. So, this question that was asked by Robin, which was basically, is there a speaker, view, a speaker only view? Yes. And now hopefully you all see just how easy it is to actually feature a speaker. Now, as I mentioned, there is no automatic speaker view. So there's no if the person who's talking, it's automatically going to switch to them in the full view layout. That is not a feature inside StreamYard at this time. So that definitely is a good clarifying aspect of it. But hopefully you now all see, it's that simple. You just click here, click there. And it's hard to really know those things unless you are practicing and dabbling. So I always encourage everyone that one of the ways that you will get the most comfortable when it comes to streaming or using advanced features is to continuously tinker around, play around with it, and just click on stuff. Don't be afraid. You do not have to be live to actually explore the studio. So that's something I always like to remind everyone. Okay, let me check on the comments, because I think we have a few questions that are coming in. Let's see. Okay, let me just see. I'm starring a few questions because let's see. I'm catching in on everybody. So Elena, all of our live streams are available for replay. So they get streamed and they will be exactly as you're watching on Facebook. You will be able to see it on the Facebook page. So thank you for joining us. But yes, the replay will absolutely be here for sure. Okay, I'm grabbing some questions. So I'm going to answer a few of your questions that are coming in, which is good. You guys are actually cracking me up about the robins that are up there going crazy. I mean, it's driving me nuts. You know what I mean? All right, let me see here. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna have to go back and read all your suggestions for the suggestions you have about the robins going crazy up there. Okay, cool. All right, so let me see. Yeah, Jennifer says, nothing beats practice, practice, practice. Totally agree. It is actually one of the ways that you will be able to learn all kinds of things and get comfortable with it. Okay, so we had a question. If we have 10 guests, will it show? Yes. So even if you have 10 guests, the background will still be visible. It'll be less visible than when you have 2 guests, like I mentioned here, or when you have the 3 guests as well. Because you have more people on screen, it's going to fill the screen up more, but your background will absolutely be viewable unless you go to the tight layout like this. The tight layout is the only one that really, truly doesn't show hardly any of your background. But good question, but it will show. Okay, so Smackdown Outdoors says, what is the layout all the way to the right for? It doesn't seem to be different than solo. Oh, that layout is actually for if you are sharing a screen. So if I'm sharing a screen, I'll just do this real quick. So what Doug is referring to is actually, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on. I'm going to take a picture and then I'll share that. So do this. Oh, hold on. Let me do that again. Always smile for the picture, right? Okay. So put this over here. Now I'm going to share my screen. And now I'm going to add it. So there is the screen share, okay? The far right, the layout at the far right. Let me do this. Okay, right. This layout right here, okay? Right here is what Doug is referring to. This box right here. This is called Cinema Layout. I'm going to click on it right now. Boom. So what you see is it actually takes your screen share and makes it full screen. So now we can go back to this, but if I click on that button again, it's actually going to, so the cinema layout is the full screen of the screen share. If you are not sharing a screen, then it's actually not going to do anything at all because there's nothing being shared. So cinema layout is what it's called, the far right. It actually is for your screen share. So if you're sharing a screen, it will go full screen for that layout. That's how you actually can do a full screen with just slides or other stuff too. There is not a button. You can use that. There's a button, the solo layout on your screen share, but you can also just use the cinema layout as well. So you can use either one. That is good for, the reason why it's good to have that cinema layout is because you can program that to your hotkey. So good question. And speaking of, so picture in picture. So Annie says, how to do picture in picture. So she said, I practice on my own with the paid version. Okay, picture in picture, you just have to click on it. So it is actually, so let me show that again. So let me share my screen, back to that picture. All right, so this button right here, okay, the one I'm highlighting right now, that is picture in picture, which hence the little person down there, right? And that looks like this. So I just selected picture in picture. So what that did is it actually is putting me and my guest, we are overlaid with the screen share being full screen. So all you have to do is click on that button, but it only works if you have something being shared on screen. So, but again, this is important if you do want to have an overlay, you want to have your full screen showed and your guest, you want to feature your guest, you can actually do that by, as I mentioned earlier, I can stop my camera and now my guest Teddy is on screen by himself talking about whatever he's talking about, right? And if I want to come back on, I'm going to turn my camera back on. I have audio avatars off. If you do not have audio avatars off, you cannot do that. It will actually just show you and you'll be hovering. So if you want a guest to do a full presentation and you want them to be able to do it with picture in picture, then you would go to the picture in picture layout after you share their screen, and then you would stop your camera, but always know you're not muted. You are not muted. You have to mute your microphone at this point. So that's really important to understand. But that's a good question that was related enough that I wanted to answer that. Let me go back. Okay, let's see here. Wes wants to know if there is any word on being able to rename the second camera when using the share feature. Yeah, I know that has been a very popular feature request. I do believe they are going to give us that option. It's probably in the queue. I don't have an update on when that's going to be though, Wes. But yes, I think that's a really, really important feature that we do. Crystal says, can you put different frames or overlays in multiple speakers' views? Okay, I had a feeling this would come up. I 100% love when people want to customize overlays to like have borders around the guests and things, but it is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the beginning streamer either, because honestly, to be totally honest with you, it does require you to be a little savvy, because when you have a guest on screen, like my friend Teddy, right? We got Teddy here with me. What an overlay could look like, it could be all custom and have like custom name tags and things like that. But then when I want to change the layout to this or to this, or any of these, every time I want to change the layout, I have to change the overlay like that. So that is very tricky to do, because, you know, it's not really going to be that friendly for you. It can be done. There are ways to do it with some transitions. I will be honest with you. My friend Kirk Nugent, who he uses StreamYard when he does a lot of productions for churches and other things, he is like a wizard when it comes to using these custom overlays. So I love his stuff. I've been thinking about asking him if he would come in and give us a bit of a walkthrough about how he does it, because he does amazing stuff and he does that. He has a lot of custom overlays when he does create his own productions and his streams with StreamYard. So definitely something that is really cool. Definitely a cool thing to think about and to ask for. I will definitely try to make that happen. Okay, let me check in with y'all and see if we have any more questions coming in. Internet quality, honestly, try to be hardwired into your if you have your computer hardwired into your router, and it just comes down to your internet service provider. So maybe call them and see what you can do. Dana's here. Dana, you're never hanging out with me when I'm live. I love seeing you. It's fantastic to see you. Dana and I, we sometimes call ourselves Dell, because we co-host the StreamYard virtual summits, and we kind of decided that we are just going to call ourselves Dell. So it's good to see you there, my friend. It's good to see you. Okay, so let me see if I had any more questions. I thought I saw a couple more questions come in. Murray says, how do you join from your phone? So Murray, if you're joining as a guest from your phone, when your show host provides you with the link, all you have to do is get that link and use your phone browser, Safari on an iPhone or Chrome on an Android phone, and you paste that into the browser and it will open up the StreamYard Studio, walk you through the process. So as I mentioned earlier, Teddy is hanging out with us from my iPad upstairs. I can hear the birds up there banging on the patio door, but Teddy's up there hanging out with us. He is on my iPhone or on my iPad. So it would be the same process. Okay, so pretty, and you can also stream from, you can actually host a stream from a phone. There's no app because it's mobile friendly. So you can go to StreamYard.com and you open it up and you will have your entire studio right there for you as well. So Elena says, does my guest need to register for a StreamYard account, or can he just use Facebook Live function? So Elena, no, they don't have to register for anything. When you create your, when you go into your studio and you create the stream, you're going to get the guest link. I'll just show that to you really quick, actually, because that probably would be helpful for some of you who maybe have never invited a guest to your stream. Okay, so let me go to this. So this is your StreamYard Studio when you log in, right? When you create a broadcast, so let's just say create broadcast, new broadcast, blah, 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 demo. I'm going to create it, right? It's going to take me into the studio, but I can back out of the studio or I can do it from inside the studio too. But right here, enter the studio, down here at the bottom, the very bottom here, see where it says invite? You click on that and it's going to give you a link. And that link is what you're going to send to your guest. Now, if we back out and we go back to our dashboard, here's that same stream. If I click on these three buttons right here, I'm going to get the exact same information, and I'm going to be able to grab that link, copy it to the clipboard, send that to my guest, and then they can join backstage with me, just like Teddy here is hanging out with us today. So Yeah, a good question though. But they don't have to register for anything. All they have to do is follow that link, and it's going to take them to the studio and let them do that. Let them come in as the guest. You can set it up for authentication, but you don't have to. Everybody's pretty happy about Teddy. Teddy was happy to be a guest today, hanging out with us, answering questions, right? How would you use picture-in-picture with an ASL interpreter? So, Michael, as I showed earlier, I would actually have, so keep this in mind. Picture-in-picture is for screen shares. So if I share my screen, now we are over it, right? That picture-in-picture layout is for that. If you wanted to have your interpreter be in a small box, but your speaker be featured in a larger box, you're going to want to use the spotlight view. So this is the spotlight view right here. And so I would be the interpreter on the side, doing the signing for your featured speaker right here. So that's what I would recommend when it comes to using an ASL interpreter. Now, if you go to picture-in-picture, you will both be here. So your guest, Teddy, can be talking, and then your interpreter could be signing as well. So, but that's only if they're sharing a screen. So that's how I would use that for the guest. So if you guys are just now joining us, I'm actually answering Renee's question that she posted in the Facebook group, where she was wanting to know about, a speaker layout. Is there a automatic, way for the speaker view to happen? Very similar to how Zoom works. And we did a full demo earlier in the stream where I actually showed how to use the different features so that your guest can be featured. And there's not an automatic speaker layout. So I want to make sure that it's very clear. Yes, you can feature a speaker just like I can feature Teddy. Teddy's hanging out talking to us, and then I can go back to myself. I can also go back to Teddy and us both on screen, Teddy and myself back on screen. So then I can go back to Teddy, I can go back to myself, whatever we want to do, right? But I just want to be very clear that even though you can feature a guest by themselves on screen with their slides or not with their slides, there is no automatic speaker view. So again, Zoom and some other of the virtual meeting applications and webinar applications have it where it can detect who's speaking, and it can actually automatically put them in full screen. And then when somebody else starts speaking, it changes to the other person. It can be done automatically. It basically uses, the app can listen and know who's talking, and it will feature them. This is actually pretty cool, but also I've seen some webinars. I've seen some stuff. I've been in some presentations where they had this on, multiple people were speaking, and it just kind of kept going back and forth. It was very rapid. It was a lot of this, and then it would be like this person wasn't actually talking, and then so while I think it's cool, it can be a little bit challenging for your audience. And so one of the things I wanted to bring up today and talk about is one of the best practices. I showed you how to use all these different layouts when you have the guest on screen. Like I said earlier, you want to be very careful not to overdo the layout switching, because if you start doing a lot of rapid switching and you're moving around a lot, it's not necessarily going to be a very cohesive experience for your viewers. So be careful about overdoing it. So I have watched sometimes where people will go a little crazy and they get a little bit too excited about the different layouts, and they quit clicking around everywhere and they go a little nuts on it, and it gets a little bit dizzy. So, switching this and that. So be very cautious about using layouts. I think you should absolutely use them. I think it's absolutely awesome, but just be a little bit careful and have a little bit of a wherewithal about how much you're doing it, right? And so it's really important. The other thing I wanted to point out that's really important if you are going to do this and you're going to have that guest, during your tech check or your pre-meeting, maybe when you actually, I always recommend, by the way, when you have a guest with you, you should always have a live stream meeting. This is a great time for you to do a tech check so that they can get familiar with being backstage and maybe they've never been a guest on a StreamYard stream before. You can also go through your agenda, the show.
Sorry, could you say that again?
My watch wanted to hang out with us, I guess. You also might want to consider going through your show flow or your agenda so that you're both on the same page. This is really, really key. So say, hey, our stream's going to be 45 minutes. I want to, then I want to have 15 minutes for Q&A. So, whatnot. This is also a really good time for you to go through how you will produce your stream. So explain to your guest, say, hey, This is what, by the way, I suggest you use the StreamYard Studio to do your meeting. So set that up. We did a whole stream about using StreamYard for your meetings a few weeks ago. So go check that out. Then you're literally using it. You can say to them, hey, I'm going to use a few different layouts. And as you're talking and doing your point, I'll probably go to full screen you. But then when you see me pop up back on screen like this means I'm probably ready to ask a clarifying question or ready to move on with the next question or go through the next piece of content. Or maybe I want to take a break and address our audience. So when you see me come back, so you'll be like this. And then when you see me kind of come back to this, that means that I'm ready to talk again and I want to ask you a question. So by doing this, you're actually giving your guest, you're letting them know what your expectation is. I think that this is a great way for you to actually be able to stay in control. There are a lot of times where guests will go on tangents, they go crazy, and you have no way of really reeling them in. But when you tell them, hey, if I come back on screen politely, it kind of means it's time to zip it. I need to talk. I need to address the audience. I need to whatever, bring us back, right? So whatever it might be. So this is a really great thing to do. It's another great way to use the layouts with your guests to give them cues about what's coming next and what you want to do next. Do this during your live stream meeting. So I definitely would also recommend you do that and explain to your audience what they can expect. Because the other thing too is if you don't go through that with them and you have them featured and all of a sudden everything changes and they're like, whoa, what just happened? And then you go to this. I've seen this happen where guests actually think something's wrong and it throws them off. And so prepare them and let them know that you're going to be doing this and using these different layouts so that they know what to expect, because it does throw people off sometimes, for sure. So you want to prepare them and do that. James says, make sure Teddy doesn't buy anything on Amazon. I've been buying all kinds of stuff on Amazon. I got some new lights. I got some new camera mounts. I've been kind of making some tweaks to the studio, so it's been a lot of fun. But Teddy, yeah, nobody buy anything up there. Unless Teddy wants to buy something to take care of those robins pecking at the door up there. Okay, let's see here. I want to see if I have any questions related to today's topic. David Cartwright says, what's the difference between producer and host? Well, a host would be someone on screen who is hosting the show. A producer, the host could also be the producer. So the producer to me is the person who's controlling the stuff. They're controlling the layouts. They're controlling bringing comments up, taking comments down. They're controlling playing videos, not playing videos, whatever that might be, using the overlays. That producer, like for example, I'm hosting the show. I'm also producing the show right now. However, sometimes if you have really large streams or really large audiences, it's very, very possible that you may have a backstage producer. So this is actually pretty popular for large virtual events or just larger streamers who just have, quite frankly, a bigger audience, and it's a little bit harder for them to produce their own show and keep up with all the moving parts. So you can have a backstage producer as well. You can also have co-hosts. So like there might be two people hosting a show, but one of them might have the producer role, meaning you're both up there, but one person is like, I'm actually producing, I'm controlling everything that's happening. So that's how I would define that, David. Yeah, Deanne is saying, yeah, it makes me feel sick when screens switch like crazy. Yeah, I had to show it to y'all, and hopefully it didn't make everybody go a little bit nuts there when I showed that to you guys. Darina says, how do you manage the audio when people talk over each other? Well, here's what I will say. If echo cancellation is on for everyone, it will do what's called ducking. So if multiple people are speaking at the same time, it might do a little bit of ducking, which means it might automatically decide whose voice needs to come through first. But when it comes to people speaking over each other, managing the audio, I mean, there's really not a lot you can do there other than just, you can't, I don't know. It's difficult. This is the delicacy when it comes to having lots of people on screen with you. This is why I always say panel discussions are great, but you might need to get a good flow and have a good understanding. And not everybody is a great panelist, meaning they do a lot of talking, they talk over other people. So a lot of it is about prepping your panel in advance. So again, going through that pre-live stream setup, going through the expectations, saying, hey, like for example, if you're not on screen, the featured person, let them talk. And then when we go back to this view, then everybody gets to chime in and talk. Or as a host, let them know, hey, I will facilitate the discussion. I'll say, oh, that was really great, Teddy, that you said all those things. Darina, what do you think about that? I'm curious to know what your perspective is. Let them know that that's the way they will be cued to speak. Again, it just kind of comes down to the synergy of the group and whatnot. But as far as managing the audio, not a lot to do there, honestly. Okay, let's see here. Aussie K-pop mom says, I throw up hurting cats meme or a drink vodka meme as a hint. You could also do that. You could have some fun overlays and you could really let it happen. That's really pretty funny, actually. So I think that's actually hilarious and not necessarily the worst idea. All right, so I do have a few more minutes. So Michelle Media said, your camera and mic sounds really great. I know it's off topic. Can you speak to your setup? So I'm actually using the Elgato Wave 3 microphone today. This is a great USB microphone. You plug it in and it's a fantastic mic. Every once in a while, it will get a mind of its own. That's why I actually kept looking. Every once in a while, it will something will change on it. Like the gain will change or whatnot. I have definitely had issues with that in the past. And then my camera today's camera that I'm using is the Sony a6100. I am using the Sigma 16 millimeter lens with the 1.4 f-stop. And that is why you get kind of a fun little blurred background and whatnot. But that's the setup I'm using today for this live stream. But fun question, always good to do. Okay, and looks like Lawson Chakatongo also had the same question about my microphone. So there you have it. Okay, my friends, so if you just now joined us, we just got done talking about using the different layouts when you have guests in your live stream. We talked about some best practices. I gave some demos. I actually had some pre-recorded screen shares that I did for the stream so that you could see that. So I brought my special guest Teddy with me today so that we could actually practice these different layouts, including this one and the spotlight layout as well. And I showed you how to switch everything up. So if you're just now joining us, make sure you catch the replay so that you can go back and watch how we did all that stuff. So now, of course, we will also be live next week. As always, we are live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. I am pretty sure next week I might be in a remote location when we do this live stream. So hang out with us. You'll see how I do a remote location stream. I believe that's going to happen. I believe I will not be home when I'm doing next week's stream. So you can obviously check that out. So every Wednesday, make sure you're subscribed to us so that you don't miss a beat when we are live, including all of our other live shows that we do, including our friend who was in the comments earlier today, Daniel Batal, when he does those YouTube reviews, those channel reviews with D. Nimmin. Those are awesome. Obviously, we also have our live stream impact. We have the Spotlight show that Dana does with Kelsey. And then always we have our town halls every Sunday night with Dan and Gage. And that's the best place where you can learn kind of what's coming down the pike in regards to changes or updates to StreamYard. But it's also a really great place for you to get heard because Dan and Gage love asking questions in those town halls and hearing what you want to see out of the app in the future. So definitely make sure you tune into those every Sunday night at 9 o'clock. It's the best way for you to know what's coming up. And I always like tuning into those and finding out all the new things, right? All the new things coming. So one last shout out to my special guest, Teddy, the StreamYard Teddy upstairs, hanging out with us so that we could show you how to have a guest on screen and change those different layouts, including featuring Teddy. So Teddy says, bye, everybody. These birds are making me go crazy. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and say goodbye to everybody. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll be talking to you soon. Next Wednesday is definitely when I'll be back with you. So I will see everybody later. Goodbye for now. Bye-bye.